Good morning to everyone. First of all, I welcome you all for the Google Classroom to learn about software architectures in e-learning method. I hope you all actively present now. Today we are going to start our Unit 5, this documenting the architecture. Documenting architecture means that documenting the views, that is, which is used to apply for more than one views in future. So these documentation can be used more than one views in future. So here we need to choosing the relevant views, documenting a view, and this documenting information that will apply to more than one view. Why we need to document architecture? What is the use and purpose for the document architecture? First of all, it is used for communicating the system design to stakeholders in each stage of the developing the systems. So, we need to communicate our system designs to our stakeholders in each stage of developing the systems. Second, it is used to analyze and validate architecture design decisions. If it is not valid, then those decisions can be altered if it is necessary. The third one will be to understand the system effectively, so that we can as we said now, we are able to understand and evaluate the design, able to understand the design which is designed previously using these documents, and project team, development organizations also can learn based on this architecture document, and the performance can also be analyzed using this performance document, documenting the architecture. What are the problems we can face while documenting the architecture? There will be no proper standard available to document an architecture. So we need to we can't able to follow the proper format to documenting this architecture. Next will be documenting complex architecture leads to time consuming. If the architecture is more complex, so the time taken to document is very high. Then documenting all the views used in particular architecture is time consuming and expensive. So for a particular architecture, if we are using more than one views, right? So then documenting all the views also will be take more expense, that is cost will be high, and then it will also take a time consuming. The time consuming also will be in a high rate. What are the good practices going to follow for documenting an architecture? There will be we have 7 practices available to document the architecture. The first one will be, while documenting, we need to consider the stakeholder who is going to read and use this documentation. So we need to create a document based on the reader's point of view, not the writer. The writer is nothing but who create a document or who writes those particular documents, we can call this writer. And the reader who is reading that particular document and use it for the future use, that those reader will be with the stakeholders of the particular systems. So while writing the document, writer use any number of any forms we can use. Okay. So a document is should be in a written approximately once. Only once we can document a particular architecture, and it should be read many times by any of the person who are in the particular systems. So it should be efficiently documented, that is documents efficiently is optimized if you make things easier for the reader. Okay. So to document the documents written for the writer often takes 2 forms. So one will be a stream of consciousness and another will be a stream of execution. So consciousness is based on our writer's point of view, execution is based on the system point of view. That is, if a writer captures thoughts, a writer captures the thoughts in the order in which they are occurred to the writer, we can say it is a stream of consciousness. So that is, if a writing will capture the thoughts in the order in which they occur during the execution of software program, we can say execution, stream of execution. This one I already said. So consciousness is coming with writer's point of view, and then execution is coming under the system running point of view. The second practices will be avoid repetitions. If you are repeating the same things again and again, so it will leads to confusions. So the information should be recorded at least exactly only in one place. If the particular information should not be repeated, same information should not be repeated anywhere in the document. Okay, so that it is documentation easier to use. We can use this documentation more easier. And then if you have in future, if you have any changes regarding this documentations, it is very easier to change. It also avoid confusions. If you are repeating the same sentence in many places, same information many places, it also leads to confusions. So this avoid repetitions will reduce our confusions. Then third will be our avoid unintentional ambiguity. What is the ambiguity means? It is ambiguity, that is the information that is we can tell it in more than one form. Same informations can be repeated in more than one form. We can say it is ambiguity. That is, it may be intentional or unintentional. So intentional we can consider, but unintentional you should avoid. So intentional may we have mislead our reader, or it may be necessary for our subject matter or our context. So the unintentional will be avoided. So it will be taken care and practice. Okay. The fourth one will be user standard organizations. So for particular organizations, we are creating a particular system. For that, we are creating some architecture, right? So the standard of documentation also should be based on the organization for whom we are going to develop the particular system or particular architecture. So it should not deviate from the particular organization standard point of view. Okay. So we need to confirm that the particular documentations will be up to the standard of the particular organizations who are going to for whom we are going to deliver the particular architecture, or whom we are going to develop a particular architecture. So we should confirm our standard planned organization scheme, and the scheme should be made out to a reader need to. Reader is nothing but our stakeholders, who are the stakeholders may be the organizations people. Okay. So a standard organization will offer many benefits, and also it helps the reader navigate the document and find specific information quickly. Since it will be an organization standard, so they can able to identify they can able to understand the documentations, and then they can able to search and know the particular informations very quickly. Okay, so it also helps the writer of the documents, since they will have they can get a own standard of standard to develop the documentation. The fifth one will be record rationally. So we need to record each and everything we are doing, so that it can be used in future use. If we are go through all those documentations, so instead of we are recording, so those recording from that which point of view we need to get deviated, we may be used using recording. Okay, so if you are documenting the results of decisions, record the decisions you avoided and say why. So why you are recording, why we are making the decisions should be recorded. So that here example they said next year or next month, when those decisions come under pressure to change, you will find yourself with same arguments and wondering why you didn't take some other path. Okay, so that you can know for what particular purpose you are taking that particular decisions. So then now we can able to deviate the particular deviations based on hearing the particular recording recording the decisions. Okay, so it will save our enormous amount of time. The sixth one will be keep it current. So it should be up to date, and then document should be fully completed. It should not be incomplete or out of date. It should be in a current date. It should be updated, so that it should not be incompleted. It should not be out of date. Does not reflect the truth. Okay, so it should be as what it is in the system. You should reflect in the system, and then you should obey the rules. So we need to avoid our if we are not obeying any rules, it will not we can say it is not a particular good practice of documentation. So we need to complete the full documentation. It should be in date, and then it should what the system is there. We need to we need to mention the same thing which are in the system should be in the documentation, and we need to follow our rules. We need to obey our rules. Okay. So and then this will keep our keep current, and we should be accurately we need to document this documentation. Okay. The seventh one will be review documentation for fitness of purpose. That is, only the intended user of a document will be able to tell you if it contains the right information presented in the right way. So before a document is released, have it reviewed by representatives of the community for whom it was written, so that we can get that the particular system is developed, that particular system is documented in a correct way or not. So if you are developing particular software architecture for our organization, we can call it as EX, we need to give a review to the committee of the organization people, that is the stakeholder peoples, to that organization called X. Then they need to review, all the details are covered, it's correctly or not, they are up to date, they are what we tell, what we created will be in the document or not, can be reviewed by the particular committee papers, and then they give the suggestions. Once the suggestions are okay, we can keep the document. If the suggestions are to have any changes or any updates, any corrections, we need to do it and we need to document it finally. Okay. So any software documentation should obey these 7 rules, including a software architecture documentation. Okay. Next topic will be a documenting the views using UML. So UML. What is meant by UML? Unified Modeling Language. So it will provide a standard way to visualize the design of systems. Okay. So UML notations we already seen in 3rd unit views, right? So here the UML 2.0 modeling notations cover both structural and behavioral aspects of our software systems. First, we say what are the structural aspects, and it's nothing but a static architecture. Define the static architecture for model, we can say it is a structural aspects. See in that we have some of the diagrams will come under the structural diagrams, that is class diagrams, component diagrams, package diagrams, deployment diagrams, object diagrams, composite structure diagrams. What is mean by class diagrams? So it will show the classes in the systems and their relationship. The second one will be component diagrams. It will describe the relationship between components with well-defined interfaces. So these components will comprise multiple classes. The package diagram will divide the model into groups of elements and describe the dependencies between them at a high level. Deployment diagram, it will show how components and other software articles like processes are distributed to physical hardware. Object diagrams is also called as instance diagram. So it will tell how objects are related and used at runtime. Composite structure diagram, so it will show the internal structure of classes or components in terms of their composed objects and their relationship. Next one is behavior. Behavior will show the interactions and state changes that occur as elements in the model execution. If there is any interactions or any state changes during execution, so it will consider behavior. Okay. So structure is nothing but a static model or a defined static representation. This will be interactions or changes that occur in elements, we can say as a behavior. So the diagrams which will come under behavioral diagrams will be activity diagram, communication diagram, sequence diagram, state machine diagram, interaction overview diagrams, timing diagrams, and then use case diagrams. What is meant by activity diagrams? It is similar to a flowcharts used for defining programming logic and bus processes. Communication diagrams, it is also called as collaboration diagram. It will denote the sequence of calls between objects at runtime. Sequence diagrams is also called as Finland diagrams. So it will show the sequence of message exchange between objects. State machine diagrams will describe internals of an object, showing its states and events and conditions that cause state transitions. Interaction overview diagrams, it will be similar to the activity diagram which we will see already. That is, activity diagram will use it to defining the programming logic and bus processes, right? So, but it can also include the other UML interaction diagrams as well as activities.